Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to explain you about the Bayes theorem and the concept learning. Simply what you'll understand is how Bayes theorem is related to the concept learning. Okay, done, that's all. So before starting the video, let me tell you something. If you're having your exam schedule nearby, just let me know the date of your exam and your college name so that I can make videos according to your college syllabus and also according to your college date. And also if you want me to make any other subjects, just let me know that in the comment section. I'll definitely start a new playlist after complete this. So let's get into the video now. So first, you know what Bayes theorem is and you know what concept learning is, right? So how do you interrelate both of them? So first, what Bayes theorem will actually do, it will calculate the probability of each and every possible hypothesis that you can get out of the set of inputs you have, and it will output the most probable one, so which is having the most probability, which is having the highest probability, which is having a good probability in the sense highest probability, right? So that will be given as an output. So what Bayes theorem will do, it will calculate the probability of each and every hypothesis that you're having, and among all the probabilities that it has calculated, it will give you the one which is having the most probable one. It will be giving you as a output. Okay, so done. This is about the Bayes theorem. Right now we are going to use a word called as brute force based concept learning when we try to understand about the concept learning in Bayes theorem. Okay, so here first, for each and every hypothesis in H, you need to calculate the posterior probability. You know what posterior probability, what is posterior, what is minimal, what is prior, everything I have explained in the previous video of Bayes theorem, right? So how do you define P of H by D according to Bayes theorem? P of D by H into P of H by P of D, right? So this is how you define the probability of P of H by D. H by D, in the sense you need to find out the probability of H given the probability of D, right? What do you mean by H? Hypothesis 1. What do you mean by D? That set of training examples you have is called as the D. Okay, now once you calculate the probability, once you calculate the posterior probability of the hypothesis, the next step that you need to do is you need to output the hypothesis H map, or it is also called as HML, which is nothing but the maximum likelihood. What do you mean by maximum likelihood? That you will understand in the next video. Okay, done. So with the highest probability, whichever is having highest probability, that you need to give as an output, right? So which is nothing but H map is equal to ARG max of H belongs to H. H is small h is, you know what H is, right? Capital H is the hypothesis space. Small h refers to each and every single hypothesis in that capital H. Okay, and is equal arg max of H belongs to H, P of H by D. Okay, done. So this is how you define the probability. You define the most probable one, among all the probabilities that you have designed, you have got, whichever is having maximum probability that you will be considering. Okay, done. Now what you need to calculate, what else you need to calculate? You need to calculate P of H and P of D by H, right? Why? Because P of H by D is equal to P of D by H into P of H by P of D, right? So you need to calculate what is P of H and what is P of D by H also, right? What do you mean by P of H? P of H is nothing but the probability of hypothesis, right? And P of D by H is what? Probability of the training examples given that the probability of hypothesis which is true, right? So how do you define that? How do you calculate P of H and P of D by H? By using some assumptions. We will be taking some assumptions. The first assumption we are taking is the training data D is noise free. That is, the training data is not having any noise. That is, no irrelevant data, no redundant data. So you know what noise data is, right? So no noise data in D, in the training data D, you don't have any noise data. That is the first assumption. And the second assumption is the target concept C is present in the hypothesis space H, or you can say the target function, whatever the target you want, is present in the hypothesis space. That is, you need some condition, right? You need some target function, you need some output that is present in the hypothesis space. It is not always mandatory that whatever you are expecting may or may not be present in the hypothesis, right? But here, when we are defining the probability of H and probability of D by H, we take an assumption that the concept, the target concept or the target function F we want is in the hypothesis space H. And the third condition we have is we have no prior reason to believe that any hypothesis is more probable than any other. That is, if you take one hypothesis, you don't have any reason, or you don't have any any reason or any proof to show that some other hypothesis is the most probable one when compared to this, like that. So when you're having all these three assumptions, you need to calculate the P of H and P of D by H. Okay, so how do you calculate P of H? So according to condition 3, what it says, no hypothesis is more probable than the other, right? So you are picking up one hypothesis from the set of the hypothesis space. So in our hypothesis space, we have, let us suppose we have H number of hypotheses. You are picking one out of H. Then what would be the probability? 1 by H, and this indicates the cardinality. Okay, so 1 by H, right? And how do you calculate P of D by H then? According to condition 1 here, according to assumption 1 here, data is noise free, right? So since we are taking noise free data, that is no redundancies, no duplications, or some no irrelevant data and all, so di is equal to H of xi. So if this condition is true, then P of D by H value becomes 1, otherwise it becomes 0. Okay, if we are assuming with noise free data, we get 1, otherwise we get 0. Okay, done. So that is P of D by H. Now let us calculate P of H by D. So for this purpose, for to calculate this one only, we have calculated these two things, right? So now let us calculate this. So from equation 1, in the sense, what is equation 1? P of H by D is equal to P of D by H into P of H by P of D, right? So this is equation 1. So from this equation, let us apply. So we have two cases, right? For P of D by H value, we have two. One is 0 and the other one is 1. So 0 you will get when the I is not equal to H of xi, which means the hypothesis H is inconsistent, right? So then you will have it as 0. So 0 into P of H by P of D, anything 0 into anything will give you 0, right? So that is case 1. In case 2, when the hypothesis is consistent, which means di is equal to H of xi, in this case, what did you observe? The P of D by H value was 1, right? So the value of P of D by H is 1. So here you substitute 1 into P of H by P of D. So what is P of H? We have already calculated P of H just now, which is 1 by cardinality of H, right? So done, we got P of H value. Then what is P of D? The probability of D is given by, you are picking up the version spaces, right? Okay, so VS is nothing but the version spaces. So among the hypothesis space, in the hypothesis space, how many we have total? H we have, right? In that we are picking the version spaces. I have already made a video about what version spaces are. You can have a look at that video. So here H and H will cancel and you'll get 1 by VS H comma D, which is nothing but version spaces. Okay, so now how do you define P of H by D? Actually what we are doing in this video, we are calculating P of H by D, right? So how do you define P of H by D now? It is equal to 0 if H is not consistent, which is nothing but the otherwise condition. So it is equal to 1 by version spaces Vs H comma D, which is nothing but the version space, if H is consistent with D, right? You know what consistent is. This is a condition for consistency, right? If it is not consistent, it is 0, because here you see you got 0. If it is inconsistent, you get it as 0. Okay, done. So this is how you calculate the P of H by D, and I hope this video is useful for you and you have understood what I've explained in this video. And the next video is going to be more complicated. That is maximum likelihood and least squared error hypothesis. So all the best for your exam, because this subject is really somewhat different when compared to the other subjects. I'm not telling you just to scare you, but still you can prepare well if I tell it before itself. So like that. So that's all for this video, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Not enjoyed, actually, you learned something out of the video. And if you're still having any doubts, just let me know in the comment section. I'll definitely try to reply for each and every comment, and also try to clarify all your doubts for sure. And if you want me to make any other topics or any other subjects, just let me know that in the comment section. I'll definitely try to make it for sure.